Welcome to The Unlikely Executive, the podcast for leaders who never expected to end up in charge, but are determined to do it well. I'm Barbra Carlisle, executive coach to founders, CEOs, and purpose-led leaders who want clarity, confidence, and a team that thrives. Each episode, I dive into real conversations with leaders who've navigated pressures and big decisions so that you can lead with courage, honesty, and impact. Let's get into it.
And this week, I'm really pleased to have with me Renee Preston, who is the CEO of Galloway Construction. Not only is she the CEO of Galloway Construction, she's a founding member of the CIC of Construction for Women. She is also a 2025 Inspiring Businesswoman in STEM and construction. She's also top 100 most influential people in construction. And she's also got top 100 most influential women in construction. So Renee, I'm absolutely privileged to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here.
Yeah. And listening to all those accolades that you've been recognised duly for, what does that bring up for you? What's your initial reaction to hearing how others perceive you in the
Last year was incredible. I mean, Construction News wrote an article last month and called me the Anton Deck of the Construction Awards. I won 15 awards last year and felt like I was never off the podium. And I kept pinching myself. It was amazing. But it's allowed me, I think it's allowed me leverage. It's allowed me to feel that there's the evidence of what I've been doing. That's the impact. I've had the pat on the back from the industry to say, look at this woman, isn't she doing remarkable things? And now I feel like it's given me the power to go, well, okay, thank you for the pat on the back, but let's actually make something impactful now. If that's what I could do on a shoestring, self-funding and not doing, not getting any funding, what can I do if I get the industry behind me? So it's given me a real empowerment, which is just what I needed.
Yeah. And it was quite recent that you were down in the House of Commons with something around the national site standards. Is that something that's come on the back of last year? Or was that nurtured way before last year?
It's been nurtured massively. So we have got, which I'm extremely proud of, the largest network of female operatives being mentored in the industry. But my plans are to scale up hugely and to grow that. And the impact that we've had is we know that if you have a mentor in industry, you're 5 times more likely to stay in that role and stay in that career pathway. And we also know that you're likely to have about a 20% pay increase if you're being mentored. So we're closing that skills gap all of the time. So for me, it's what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to build out those platforms and to grow and to support more women into the industry through Construction for Women, through the training. We have 12-week training programs, but the mentoring, what came from the mentoring that led me to want to really enforce the national site standard was I wanted to set up a mentoring program to help people empower them in their careers. And I didn't really realize that we were going to have a massive culture conversation, and it's coming up all the time. And I felt it on sites. I'm often the only woman. We've all had that situation of locked toilets and sort of people sort of looking up to sort of say, what you're doing here. I've been handed the cleaning bucket before, years ago, but the culture has got to change.
It's the mentoring and it's that empowering women to stay in the industry, more likely to get a promotion. I was asking around, it's been something that's been nurtured for a while. It's not just something that's just an idea. These things take time, and you've been the only woman in the space for the work that you've worked on over the years. And what would you like to see in the future? Is it parity? What is it that you think success looks like in terms of supporting women in construction?
Well, success is really, it's about a retention piece as well. In all good faith, I have taster days for year 9s, which is where we start to plant those seeds and we start to show young ladies like what type of careers they can have. I mean, we know there's over 150 different careers in the built environment. And often when we go in and we start to show the practical side of those career prospects and also sort of what salary you could expect to gain, we want to bring people into the industry. We've got a skills shortage, we've got a needs crisis. I'm a great believer in learning at grassroots. And I have on my site. I have 16 and 17-year-olds working on my site, both boys and girls working on there, and learning, learning their craft early doors. However, from the mentoring program and from the last few years of running it, I was hoping that we were supporting and mentoring with career growth and sort of like, prospects of, that next step of moving into a different role and what that looks like. And unfortunately, a lot of what was coming up was around the culture, around discrimination, around harassment, young ladies sitting in the toilets crying because of some sexual innuendos that have been on site. And it kind of almost shocked me. I don't know why I had this naive point of view that I was like, oh my gosh, is this actually still happening? And I've been on site and I've sort of been all PP'd up with my goggles on, and maybe people don't know who I am. It doesn't really matter. But I've said to the subbies, can you get your PPE on? You've not got the correct PPE on. And I've been, called for all kinds of, and I've stood firm, either get your PPE on or please leave the site. And it's intimidating. It's not nice. It's not nice for a woman of my age. But, when I'm trying to encourage young people into the industry, the national site standard came about because I was like, we can't continue. We've got a culture problem. And it's all very well and good saying, oh, yeah, well, we've got an aging population in our industry and, there's a certain mindset. And I certainly don't want to go in with a big sledgehammer through the middle and say this is all wrong. But what we do need to do is we do need to have a standard. We do need to have a best practice. We do need to include that in your RAMs and include that in your induction and allow female operatives to see that we are set up for them to be there. We do want them to be there, and we do want to progress with the balanced working environment. As a CEO of Galloway, I understand if I want to run on program, if I want to get the best stuff to that job, if I want to please my client, come in on program, come in on price, then we want to be working to full capacity. Our industry has a huge problem with mental health, but we also have a very, very heavily male-orientated environment, which it doesn't make it easy to have those open conversations. And it does feel quite testosterone-filled and ego-filled. And, so if we do have a working environment where it's balanced, it's been proven, we know from stats that productivity goes up, that mental health increases, we have a better working environment. So the bottom line is for the powers that be, they need to know that, a balanced working environment also means more productivity and they'll make more money. But it also means a happier working environment. But we need to get there.
Yeah.
And we need to get there by changing the culture. And the national site standard just supports that growth.
You might not want to answer this question, but it's just come up as we've been talking. What's your view on when people are promoting the sector and they proactively use pictures of women in PPE?
It's a tough one. I think I'm going to try and give a quite conservative answer here because my mind's going in other places. But yeah, I mean, there's a certain. I was a tier 2 contractor working for a bigger tier 1. And, I did notice every time I got there was a female operative on the desk signing me in. Yet when I got on site, there was not another woman. And I actually did question, have you purposely put a woman there?
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing you see. And it's kind of like that subliminal message. But yet there's nobody else on that site that's female. And yeah, I do see it at the like you'll go onto a website, click onto the website, and it's like there's all female operatives there. But then you go onto their particular site and it's not there. So it is misrepresentative of the fact that there's only 2% of females on site. However, we have to start changing what looks normal and what is normal. And so you could also say that they're trying to just get into that space and change, how the perception of what people see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do find it quite frustrating. It is kind of like washing over, isn't it? Kind of like just trying to, it could be perceived as that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. We also know that when people can't see representation like themselves, they are more likely to want to work for that organisation. So yeah, I just want to move on. So you're the CEO of Galloway. Oh, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I own Galloway Construction with my husband, so we run it together. I am pre-con and he's construction, so I'm all front end of the business. I run all the bids and find the clients and sort of move us into areas where I think that we should be working that align with us. And he's delivery. So it works very well for us. And the CEO came about because I already was, but I just used to call myself a director. We talked about this a little bit before about sort of like not owning who you are and what you do. And somebody said to me the other day, I've noticed you've just got director on there. Why? And I was like, well, it's my company. I'm one of the directors, and so is my husband. And she was like, yes, but he's MD and you're CEO because that's what you do. You are, ahead of the company, and you mold the company in the shape that you want it to be. And it just made me smile because I was like, I never really saw myself as CEO before. And I think and now learning from that, when you step up into a space and you just like literally go on LinkedIn and tap in and change it over, everybody changes how they perceive you.
Really?
Massively. I started getting invited to events I'd never been invited to before.
Oh my goodness.
And I've not changed who I am.
No?
My passion's still the same. My drive's still the same. My work ability's still the same. And I've now used it an awful lot as advice for other female leaders. And I've called them out on it. And they've done the same as what I did. They're like, well, why would I call myself the CEO? And I was like, well, because that's what you're doing and that's who you are. And yeah, it felt like an uncomfortable leap at first, but I'm very glad I did it because it's just words on a piece of paper at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. No, but thanks for sharing that. I'm always interested in whether women own the titles that they should own. So brilliant. Can I ask, when you set up your business with your husband, what did you have to give up to enable you to run a successful business with your partner?
We have to find boundaries, don't you? You have to find the boundaries of working together. And then what happens at home? I mean, and I actually gave up a completely different career because I was working in marketing, and I've done a marketing degree and I've got a marketing head. And I actually had a nutrition company. I've worn many different hats, Barbara, many different hats. And he said, I really want you to come and run Galloway with me because that skill set that you have and that marketing side of you, the way you can sort of mold something and grow it and breathe life into something that I joked was a dinosaur of a construction industry, a dinosaur of a contractor that I was inheriting. The boundaries of us going home and still tapping away and working, that's been quite difficult. And there was a poignant moment last year. I had breast cancer and it didn't really so I didn't really tell everyone. I just cracked on with work. And even though I had major operations and was told to stay at home for 4 months, I was back in work after 2 weeks. But what I did do was took the summer with the kids, and I made the decision that I get up early. So I was like, I'm going to work from like 5:30 till 11 every day. And then I'm going to spend my day with my children. And I'm going to try process, and I'm going to have those boundaries and those markers. And I did that. And it's made me realize what I wasn't doing before. Sometimes we need a reset, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a shocking reset, really, isn't it? And thank you for sharing that with me. And I hope that journey is now ended.
Touch wood, it is ended. So yeah, onwards and upwards.
And it's that as the time goes on, is to remember that the reset was worth it, and getting that cadence of still being present with your children when you're home, because it's always a challenge, isn't it? We can be there in the same room as them and provide them with food, but it's actually that presence that's really
Oh
meaningful.
yeah. I mean, they like movie nights with mummy, and they'll jump in mummy's bed and have one on one side and one on the other. They're only 7 and 9. And I'll be tapping away on my laptop trying to work. And I'm like, I'm trying to pacify, going, yeah, come on, let's watch Zootropolis. Great. And I'm doing this. One of them will just grab the laptop and say, no, mummy,
Good.
watch the film with us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, just watch the film.
And I wanted to ask you, if you don't mind, about your children as well. And in your LinkedIn profile, it says that you were the mum of 2 future builders. So when you say that, and it brought to my mind, what's going on here? Is it influence and they're seeing you as a role model, or is it your subliminal messages that as a mum you're passing down to your children as to it being a great sector to work in?
Yeah, when I say builders, I don't necessarily mean the built environment neither. I mean, my son is 9 and he's been coding since he was 5. So he might be building in tech. And I like them to see what hard work looks like as well. We don't instill that enough. If they wanted to come into the built environment, I'd be delighted and I'd support them in every way. I have some friends that sort of say that they don't want to like hold the door open for their kids a bit, like, oh, they need to find their own way. And I'm not like that, because I think your network is your net worth, and that's how we grow. There's so many moving parts to sort of what I do. You know, I've got my Galloway hat, I've got my Construction for Women hat, I've got my Early Talent, I've got my prison leavers, I've got all of these things. And if I don't have a big network of people that I can reach out to, then it makes life a lot harder. And so I try and instill that in the kids as well. It's about being gregarious and making new friendships and trying different clubs, and just being the best you can be. And if they want to go in the built environment, great.
Looking now at, evolving as a leader, have you got any lessons there of things that you wished you hadn't done as a leader in fledgling?
I think that everyone's where they're supposed to be at the right time. And I think when I was younger, I was frantically feeling like I wasn't enough and that I was supposed to be somewhere else and I was supposed to be another step. And like my sister passed away when I was in my 20s. So kind of when all my friends were like finding boyfriend, getting engaged and married, I was still embroidered with grief. So I wasn't in any space to meet my husband. But I always felt like, oh my God, I'm not there and I need to be there. And I kind of like just say to people, like, you are where you're supposed to be, and don't feel that just because you're doing this particular thing right now, that means that you'll be doing it in 10 years' time. How many of us have been doing the same job for 10 years? I've had so many different careers, and it's just have that self-belief and that confidence in yourself, and that it will all work out. I kind of like kick myself now. I remember I went traveling on my own to all around Southeast Asia, and I was sitting on the back of a boat in so say Halong Bay in Vietnam. And I never wrote a diary, but I wrote a diary for this one time I was there. And I'm really frustrated because I remember in this diary, still in this beautiful place, it's absolutely beautiful, I was still panicking, thinking, I've not met my future husband, I'm not here, I've not got this, I've not got that. If I could go back in time, I'd just go, stop and just enjoy what you're doing right now. And stop thinking about 10 steps ahead.
Yeah. It's hard though, isn't it? Because if that's what comes up for us at the time, that's what comes up. So clearly you've evolved. And what support have you had to enable you to be the leader that you are today?
My husband's great. He allows me to step into my space, which has been fantastic. I had a leadership coach last year, which he says I'm very difficult to coach because largely because like I'm ADHD, so my brain goes everywhere and it's very hard to pin me down. But we did have some really honest, great conversations, and I think that helped me step into a space. You just need to have strong support and friendships around you. I think that stepping into a leadership role, I would have done it years ago, but I think there's that imposter syndrome that just sits there, and it's almost like you wait for permission. And you just shouldn't wait for permission. And there was a girl that I was sharing a stage with. She was younger. She was like, oh, I'm really intimidated. I'm just 3 years out of university and I can't believe I'm here on the stage with you. And she was amazing. She was really good at what she was saying. And she was trying to explain how to like build networks within sort of your peer group. And I said, you're already leading. You just haven't realized it yet. And don't think you have to wait till you're in your 30s or your 40s to start leading. Just start saying what you want to say. And if people want to continue hearing it, they'll support you. But yeah, I think that I kept thinking that I had to have some other credentials to be allowed to speak, which is just crazy.
But you're not alone on that one. But it sounds like the mentoring program that's part of the Construction for Women CIC will be one of those enablers to help women to recognise that they're leading, inspiring others, and following the path that is right for them.
Yeah, I mean, we're growing it massively. I took 156 women to UK Reform, all in high-vis fairs. We marched them through, and like the sort of like the queue, everyone was like, oh my God, look at all these women, this is amazing. And I got really excited, and on the day I was like, everybody here can have a mentor if anyone wants one. How am I going to find all these mentors for these ladies? But it sparked something too. We've got next gen conferences this year, very similar to what we rolled out at UK Reef, in that we're having a whole conference and workshops during the day on putting to bed that imposter syndrome early doors, building your network, understanding what social value means in terms of being a female operative in the construction industry. An awful lot of people know that big contracts, there's a big chunk of it that says 20% on this project should be females. But we've only got 14% in the industries. Already we're not going to really fulfill that. And it's explaining their career growth. And then at the end of those conferences, pledge that anyone who wants a mentor will get a mentor. Well, I'm due in 6 or 8 cities this year, so that's 800. And we're taking 300 to UK Reefs. We're easily looking at growing that platform to having 1,000 women being mentored by the end of the year. And I'm a firm believer that I'll get there because I can feel the momentum. Also, there's a lot of people who are nervous, like, oh, I don't think I could be a mentor. Like, what have I got to give? And it's about listening. It's about supporting. But I also like to not just have a one-on-one. A lot of the younger women that have started in their career, because I didn't have enough mentors for the mentees, and I reached out and said, how about we put you in a group of 5? What do you think? And it's worked fantastically because some of them haven't found their voice. Some of them are thinking a question. The other one asks it. They're all in a WhatsApp group together. They're now, they're building out their peer group together. So I don't think it's impossible. I think I can make sure that we get all of these young ladies, not just young ladies. I've got returning, mums after they've got the kids off to school and they're coming back into the industry that have reached out to be mentored. I think we will have grown momentum, and by the end of the year, I will have enough mentors for my mentees. But if anyone is listening, reach out, please.
And I'll ask you how they can reach out in a minute. Just a clarification question. When you say mentors, you're not just talking about female mentors, are you?
Please, no, of course not, Got lots of male allies. Not enough for if you look at the ratio, but a lot of men will phone me up and say, can I be? And I'm like, of course, yeah. I mean, it's really difficult because construction for women is in the name. We're trying to support women into the industry. But I want to walk in a room or walk on a site where it's an even split. There's 52% of the population are women, so it stands to reason there should be more of us in the workspace, and that's all I want. I certainly don't want an environment where we're having like a women's club and the men aren't invited.
Yeah,
it's total opposite.
Well, I think it won't work unless men are involved as mentors. So how might people be able to get in touch with you to offer to be a mentor, ask about how they become a mentee even?
Yeah, well, they can jump on the Construction for Women website, constructionforwomen.co.uk, and we're also on LinkedIn, Construction for Women handles. But you jump on the website and just apply. At the moment, I'm trying to build out the software so it's a lot easier, but that comes with money, and we're trying to raise money to support that, and we do it manually.
So is that an opportunity for sort of the larger construction design and engineering businesses to perhaps sponsor and support?
We're looking for sponsorship. We're looking for sponsorship for the next gen conferences, and we're looking for sponsorship for UK Reef, which is obviously a great platform with 16,000 people in the industry there. So absolutely. I'm trying to get really creative ways of trying to bring people and get them on board. But somebody reached out the other day and said, I'd like to sponsor the lunches at UK Reef if that's possible. Of course it is. That's fantastic. I'm off to MIPIM next month, and I'm taking some of the ladies that I mentor, and showing them that international stage, putting them forward for the Young Talent Awards at MIPIM. So there's lots of things happening. So there's lots and lots of opportunities for people to reach out and want to sponsor and get their name out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Well, and you're on LinkedIn as an individual as well, aren't you, Renee?
I am. If I listened to the algorithm, I'd be on there quite an awful lot more. I just haven't got the time.
Right. Well, thank you ever so much, Renee, for spending the time with me today. Really, really appreciate it. Fascinated by your journey, and thank you for sharing.
No, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed chatting.
Thanks for listening to The Unlikely Executive. If today's conversation challenged you, encouraged you, or gave you clarity about how you lead, then make sure you follow the show. so that you never miss an episode. I'm Barbra Carlisle, founder of Glee Coaching. I help leaders who never expected to be in charge to show up with courage, fairness and conviction. Until next time, lead well, stay honest and keep doing the work that matters.